Welcome now to Talk of the Nation tonight, where we do revisit the recently launched Parish Development Model, and we want to really understand its impact to those seeking to improve their lot around the country. So tonight we do speak to Nakawa East Member of Parliament, Ronald Balimwezo. I think we've had a conversation on the Parish Development Model before, and now that we have it really launched, do you think that we have tackled the financial literacy bit well enough to benefit those that we intend to really help? Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, viewers. Well, the parish model, development model, wouldn't be a bad idea, but unfortunately, it has not been brought at a time when people have been sensitized enough, because it stands on 7 pillars. We have the agricultural value chain. We have the infrastructure development. We have the financial inclusion. We have 7 pillars. But when you look at the time it has come, basically it's not the right time. We need to think about restructuring it, because every parish has its own social aspects, and therefore it will be important for us to handle parish by parish. Rural parishes are different from urban parishes. When you look at the urban setting, it's quite different, and they have not been, they have not put into consideration the demographic dynamics. For example, we have a parish in Adjumani, which has 892 people. But when you come to Kampala, talk about my parish, one of my parishes called Mutungo Parish, with over 120,000 people. So if you are going to give it the same amount of money, there is basically no equity there. And we are saying now we should either depend on the population or allow, particularly parishes in urban centers, like parishes in Uganda, to be divided into other parishes. If you sat down and calculated, you'll find that Nakawa parishes are about 100 times bigger in population than the human parishes, and therefore we cannot get the same amount of money. It will have no effect at all. When you consider the financial inclusion aspect, because there is 465 billion that has been committed for financial inclusion, you cannot think of empowering people, giving them a revolving fund that big, without changing their mindset, without giving them financial literacy. Therefore, it's untimely, and we should have done sensitization before launching it. This is a mess.
Well, it is a mess, you say, but yeah, I want to take you back to financial literacy. Yeah. We've had quite a number of conversations on the parish development model, at least here at NTV, but I would like to hear from you on the ground. What can we do different to see that every single individual on the ground has the basic knowledge about this?
No, previously we had the programs that were similar. We had the YLP, yes, for the youths. Yeah. We had UEP for the women. We had NADS. We had all these other wealth creation programs. And government earlier in 2019 had committed 93 billion for the YLP. But recovering that money was difficult. It was only able to recover 40%. Of the 93 billion, it would only recover 37 billion under YLP. On the UEP, they were able to receive 66 billion, but government was only able to recover 17 billion, which is 23%. So these programs are similar to what is going to be made. But will they be able to recover that money so that it can go to other people to have that kind of trickle-down effect? Absolutely not. To date, as we speak, even leaders have not been sensitized. You will hardly get a person who actually knows the parish model in their respective parishes. Recruitment has not taken effect, and therefore it's not easy for us to begin a program that has not been trickled down to the people. Information has not trickled down. Recruitment has not taken place. Therefore, it's a little difficult.
What would you advise we do in terms of the parishes? Should we redivide them? Because I know right now we're only looking at 17 million before we get into the next financial year, at least for just this financial year. And we know that some parishes are bigger than the rest.
Like I did tell you.
You know, how do we, work around that?
Number one, we should either use the population for us to have equity. If not population, then we should be allowed to basically divide the parishes into smaller parishes so that they can benefit like other parishes are going to. You cannot give 120,000 people the same amount that we're going to give to 900 or 1,000. So there won't be equity. Then secondly, even 100 million is too small. When you look at the pillars, we have infrastructure development, we have health care services, we have financial inclusion. 100 million cannot be enough for a parish. So we need more funding. We need to basically sensitize and educate our people about the parish model so that they can be able to understand it and appreciate it. It may be a good one, but I think we also need to emphasize community mobilization and mindset change. You cannot give people money that you have not changed their mindset.
You've not told them how to use the money that
you've not. And therefore it's not easy for you to benefit from that.
Well, also this week we did see another issue coming through. The Ministry of Local Government was relying on the Electoral Commission map that cited 11,000 parishes. But later we did see a new list that said there were 7,000 parishes. Do you think this is also going to be an issue in really achieving the objectives of this model?
I think we have over 10,592 parishes altogether. But we have a challenge in boundaries.
Okay.
Right now, as I speak, it's the mandate of survey and mapping to produce maps for various levels of administration units. But as we speak, we have no parish maps in the entire country made by Lands and Survey. We have no maps. And that's the reason that we have arguments. We have battles ensuing due to boundaries. So there is a need of basically harmonizing that. There is a need.
Now, as we conclude that part of our conversation tonight, how do we make it work? Now, we've already launched it really, so we are not going back. How do we make it work moving ahead? Moving
ahead, I think we need to basically, for starters, go down to the people. First of all, we need a policy. We need a policy that is going to help us in implementing this program. There is no policy. There is no clear policy. We only have guidelines. And these guidelines, I doubt whether they were gazetted. So that, because we need to know who is going to be accountable for these funds. We need to know how these funds are going to be basically managed. So there is no policy. Secondly, we need basically to find a way of having equity. We may either depend on the population to allocate this money, or allow us come back and subdivide the parishes so that we can have equal share of the cake. Otherwise, there are parishes that are going to, particularly parishes in Buganda. Because when you look at the amount Buganda is going to get, 170 billion Buganda parishes against 320 for the eastern region, and yet basically we have a bigger population. There won't be equity, and that's what we are demanding. We are demanding for that, and I'm personally going to make a motion in Parliament, on floor Parliament, to request government to allow us subdivide our parishes so that we can equally benefit from the parish model. Otherwise, we may have a loss as parishes in Buganda region.
Well, just briefly, you did recently join the Directorate of Industrial Training in launching a measure to recognize, you know, the skilled youth with certification.
Yeah.
Just briefly tell us more about that.
We have a gap in technicians. We have more engineers than technicians. A majority of the technicians are upgraded. For those that had diplomas, upgraded and have now degrees. So when we go out to factories, we find a challenge. They tell us we don't have people with the skills, workable skills. And we have a set of people out there that have experience, but they have no qualifications. And what are we saying? We are saying let us take universities in homes of people, in workplaces of people, assess these people and award them, because they have the experience, they have the skills, but they have no papers. People out there that have experience and have no papers cannot get government jobs. Neither can they work even out. So we are saying let us give them work passes. These work passes are basically under DIT, and that's what we did so that we can have people qualify for better jobs.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we did just speak your thoughts on the parish development model, but we also do turn to you and we ask you what are your thoughts, and moving ahead, how do we see this as a success so that it is different from the other initiatives? Thank you as well for joining us once again. We'll take a short break.